Welcome back, builders. This is my update of the BT version 2 from BikeBerry, a two-stroke motorized bike kit which touts some upgrades over older versions. I've been using this motor to go to work over the past few weeks, which is about a 5-mile round trip each day, and then I took it on a 35-mile endurance ride after we had a chance to break in the motor. This is a far cry from a long-term review that will come in the future, but at least for now I can tell you how the motor's been doing. The break-in period of this motor was pretty uneventful with no notable issues. Out of the box, the motor's a bit sluggish and it takes a little bit longer than other motors I'm used to pick up power. As expected, after the first tank of gas, it did pick up a little bit more grunt, but not as much as I was hoping. In its stock configuration, power delivery from this motor seems to be a little stronger than a Zeta 80, but not quite as much as a YD100, despite having the same displacement. Until I dig into the motor and start making modifications, I can't say for sure where the restrictions are, but if I had to take a guess, it would be the exhaust. So I really hope they make an exhaust adapter for this thing soon. Here in the south, we finally obtained cooler weather, which is, for me at least, the most comfortable and enjoyable time of the year to ride these bikes. And honestly, I'm glad I'm testing this particular motor at this time of year because it kind of led me into a situation of be careful what you ask for. The BT V2 touts better passive cooling. It's got larger fins, more surface area, and it even has an iron sleeve. And in most situations, this is beneficial and still nothing I'll complain about, but I did notice that when trying to warm up the bike, it takes significantly longer. Whereas in general, a standard China doll will be ready to rip in about a minute and a half for full throttle pulls, this takes about 3 times longer, and I would say safely give it 5 minutes to warm up before you really pull it in cold weather. Having said that, because I spend most of my time riding in blazing hot temperatures, I'll take this slight inconvenience during the few weeks of cool weather so that I can enjoy its longevity in the summertime. The motor's tune feels extra rich. I think they went on the safe side when giving this the Bafang carburetor, as I feel like it's giving it too much fuel, like more than is acceptable. Richer is safer in most situations, but this feels a bit excessive. I've had the NT Speed carburetor with the jet kit ready to go and tune on this motor. I just wanted to get the initial update and break-in period done with the stock carb so people would know what to expect. It's definitely going to benefit from an upgrade though. And although once I upgrade to the NT Speed, I'll probably just be sticking with that because they're cheap, effective, and easy to tune, some other builders have informed me that this appears to use an identical reed faceplate as the G2. I haven't personally measured it, but it does look to be the same size, and if that is true, this means you could upgrade it with a variety of different carburetors. Even a Mikuni, you just have to get the proper diameter of the intake faceplate for the reed. This bike's using 26-inch wheels and a 36-tooth sprocket. In my situation, with it unfortunately not having as much power as the YD100, it's still been adequate for practical daily use, having just enough grunt to pull up the steepest hill I have, and enough top speed to cruise quickly, with really the only inconvenience being the longer warm-up times in cool weather, so allow yourself an extra 4 to 5 minutes so you're not late and you're not pushing the motor before it's warmed up. Like I said, in the summer months, this trade-off is worth it in my opinion, but it's going to be different for everyone's environment. With that being just about everything I've noticed on the motor so far when it comes to practical daily use, let's go ahead and take it out on a 35-mile cruise and see how it does. I'll give you some of the highlights from that ride, and when I come back, we'll discuss my final thoughts about this motor. I may be criticized for using this technique to gauge a motor's dynamics, but I only have my past experiences to go off of, and so far this has held true. I've noticed that motors which can pop back into a smooth and consistent idle after being pushed for an extended period of time is usually a good sign that that motor is going to do well, which is the case with the BT V2. The motor handled this 35-mile cruise really well. It never once changed dynamics or lost power, did anything odd. And it was pleasant to see that after heat soaking the motor, when I would let off the throttle, it would instantly snap back into a near perfect idle as far as I'm concerned. At the very least, this tells me that there's a good chance it doesn't have any air leaks, it's not running too lean, which is pretty obvious, and it's not getting too hot. More extended testing will be necessary before I can give a full review of this motor, but as long as it holds true to what it's doing now and no gremlins pop up in the future, the areas of which I think this motor would shine for builders would be people who like to do long-range cruising and or live in hot environments. Out of the box, this is certainly not going to impress any speed demons or really heavy individuals who have to deal with hills. In your situation, a YD100 would probably be the way to go. The motor wasn't as efficient as I expected it to be with the built-in reed valve, but I chopped this mostly up to the fact that it's running rich with the Bafang carburetor. These 35 miles used almost exactly half a tank of gas, so you can look at about 70 miles expected range, and this was mostly full throttle operation. I'll be doing a proper range test on this motor once I get the tuned NT Speed carburetor on it, in which I expect it to do significantly better. To sum up my thoughts so far on the BT V2 from BikeBerry, it's a consistent motor, runs pretty smooth, is relatively quiet when compared to other two-stroke motors. It has usable power, it's a decent, slightly above average, but not what I expected it to have. Break-in period was about twice as long as other motors I'm used to, not a big deal, and it doesn't particularly care for cold weather, at least not at first. You've really got to warm it up. Once at operating temperature, the motor is consistent and, as mentioned before, it has a beautiful idle that it snaps back into every time. So I hope you guys got some useful information out of today's video, or at the very least, were mildly entertained. And until next time, ride safe.